being in the Astrodome, I realized that there was something that needed to happen with the many people that was at hand, and that was to begin to organize. And our first form of organizing, within 4 days, we were able to get over 4,000 signatures from persons in the Astrodome in order for us to have a voice to say to Mr. Costello, who was the FEMA director there, in order to say to Mayor White and Judge Echo what our issues were. And within a matter of about 6 days, we had well over 10,000 signatures. At this point in time, it was evidence that we had to begin to organize and in order for the people, collectively to have a voice. And with as many people as we had there then, we realized that we could have a voice for people who had been affected by Katrina and Rita throughout the United States, regardless of where the displacement was. After we were able to present these signatures to the mayor and to Judge Echo, he asked that Mr. Costello, the gentleman that was over FEMA, that he would come in. We presented that, and it was at this moment in time I had been designated as the voice for the people that were from New Orleans, or people who had been affected greatly by Katrina and by Rita. We made a presentation, and we were covered to Judge Echo, Mayor White, and Mr. Costello, and within a matter of 2 hours. And our plea there was first that our phones, that all cell phones would be turned on, that we would be able to be granted some cash money, that we would be able to get some type of long-term recovery, that there will be a means in order for people to be able to find people, to have a system set up for those things. And within 2 hours, 2 things happened. Mr. Costello came and he came forth just after the press conference and said that everybody that had been affected by Katrina would get $2,000. That was one of our first victories, and that was one of the first things that happened. The second thing, once we come out of that, and begin to come out of the Astrodome, and the second thing was that they would deal with getting us housing and set up the database system. From there, now people were beginning to be dispersed throughout the city as far as housing was concerned. And as Houston being such an enormous size, people then were getting separated. And what I was able to do, along with a very close friend of mine who worked with Children's Defense Fund, and through the assistance of the mayor, who's Mayor White, who allowed us to sit at the table with him. Glenda dealt with a lot of children. They gave us what they call the Houston Food Bank, and we had access to the Houston Food Bank. And we dispersed food throughout the city of Houston and surrounding areas of Houston. And when we did this, we were able to organize people in these apartment complexes, find out what their issues were, the things that they were going through, in order to bring it back to the mayor. And we had meetings with the mayor and his staff, as well as FEMA and HUD and U.S. congressional leaders from the state of Texas, in order to hear what our issues were. And we did, like I said, organize apartment complexes throughout the city of Houston. And we also did organizing. We had about 12 ministers from the city of New Orleans. We went to their churches, and we were able to organize there. We had full support from the Children's Defense Fund, and that was who Glenda was an employee of. She worked very closely with children to help them get clothing, help them with the educational matters within the school, things of that nature, but we worked together collectively.